bells are now officially going to return to the Philippines.
The United States government is set to return the historic Balangiga bells to the Philippines.
It's now in their hands. So why do you have to create frictions, strong military activity that will prompt a response from China?
President Rodrigo Duterte expresses opposition to military drills in the hotly disputed South China Sea during the ASEAN Summit in Singapore. And the Department of Public Works and Highways formally opens modernized Laguna Lake Highway to motorists. The historic Balangiga bells are returning to the Philippines more than a century after they were seized by the American soldiers from a church in Samar. J.L. Asayo tells us why.
United States Defense Secretary Jim Mattis assures that the historic Balangiga bells will be returned to the Philippines before the year ends. Mattis made a remark during his speech at the Veterans Remembrance Ceremony in Warren Air Force Base in Wyoming. Philippine Ambassador to the U.S., Jose Manuel Romualdez, who was present at the event, said that Mattis showed him the well-preserved state of bells and the engravings on it.
The Secretary just simply said in not so many words, Ambassador, these bells are now officially going to return to the Philippines.
The memorial marker states that the Balangiga bells are church bells taken as war trophies by the U.S. Army from the town of Balangiga in eastern Samar, Philippines. The ringing of bells signaled the attack of the Bolo tribesmen against the Company C of the 9th U.S. Infantry Group, which led to the massacre. After 117 years, the U.S. government will finally return the historic bells to its original home in Samar.
Part of our history, the Filipino-American War in the 1900s, and of course many people died in that war, and we honor those people. But more than that, we also honor those people who died during World War II and the many wars that we fought together with the United States.
President Rodrigo Duterte first made mention of the bells to Mattis last year during the Defense Ministry's meeting at Clark Air Base.
They needed to change the 2017 National Defense Appropriations Act, which would allow the return of the bells. So that took some time, and shortly after, there was a 90-day period where Congress could actually change that, but I guess that one kind of went very quickly.
Romualdez thanked the legislative and executive branch of the U.S. government, several officials from the United Nations, and a number of Filipinos and Americans who contributed in the effort to return the Balangiga bells to the Philippines. The U.S. initially planned to take the two bells to a facility in Philadelphia and then in South Korea, where the third Balangiga bell was kept before its official return to the Philippines this year. J.L. Asayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong calls on all ASEAN members to maintain the spirit of unity and to continue to think of the region's interests as he formally hands over the ASEAN Chairmanship to Thailand for 2019. From Singapore, Myla Guevara will tell us why live. Myla, good evening.
Good evening, Rheena. The chairmanship of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations has finally handed over by Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong to Thailand Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha on the conclusion of the 33rd ASEAN Summit on Thursday. In his closing remarks, the outgoing ASEAN Chair Prime Minister Lee thanked all ASEAN members and outside partners for the support towards Singapore's vision of a resilient and innovative ASEAN. He presented an infographic that reflects all the initiatives that ASEAN was able to establish under Singapore's leadership this year. He called on all ASEAN members to maintain the spirit of unity and continue to think regionally despite individual and national interests.
This is just the beginning of a new and exciting chapter for ASEAN. We are not and never will be done building and strengthening the ASEAN community. We must continue to uphold the ASEAN-centric frameworks and engage our partners to keep our region open and inclusive. We must stay on the course of economic integration and pool our talents and resources to improve our people's lives. Singapore has full confidence that Thailand, as the incoming ASEAN chair, will continue to take ASEAN forward. And we look forward to continue working with the rest of the ASEAN family to fulfill our common goal of one vision, one identity, one community.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, in his acceptance speech, vowed that Thailand will continue the good work on issues to which ASEAN has given priority in the past years. PM Prayut specifically emphasized on the ASEAN Smart Cities Network, which aim at ensuring continuity and sustainability for the ASEAN community. He noted that since the establishment of ASEAN in 1967, it is commendable that the regional bloc has grown into becoming a community and a region of peace and security, and has grown as the sixth largest economy in the world, with roles recognized internationally. He hopes that ASEAN will be able to grow to become the fourth largest economy in 2030. The Thai Prime Minister acknowledges a number of challenges ahead, and so he encouraged all ASEAN member states to continue working in unity.
All 10 countries must collaborate even more closely on the foundation of ASEAN unity and the principle of the 3 M's: mutual trust, mutual respect, and mutual benefit, to realize concrete deliverables and sustainability for ASEAN in all dimensions.
Before he ends his speech, the incoming chair announced next year's ASEAN theme, which is Advancing Partnership and Sustainability. In accordance with the regional grouping's rotating chairmanship, Singapore will again have its turn as host of the ASEAN Summit in year 2028. And those are the latest here in Singapore. Back to you, Rheena.
Myla, would you know how many bilateral meetings that President Rodrigo Duterte attended, and what were the topics with each of the head of states?
Yes, Rheena, President Duterte actually for the day, right, for the last day, he attended all the meetings since this morning, the ASEAN-US Summit, and then he has a bilateral meeting with PM Abe, and then also the closing ceremony. He also attended the closing ceremony, which is the last event for this day.
All right, thank you so much, Myla Guevara, reporting live from Singapore. President Rodrigo Duterte reiterates his urgent call for the finalization on the Code of Conduct in the hotly contested South China Sea during the ASEAN Summit in Singapore. Marge Pelayo tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte maintains his position that a code of conduct for South China Sea is urgent, as China seemed to be unstoppable in its island and facility building on the disputed territory. The president noted during an interview before proceeding to the first summit on Thursday that being the newly assigned country coordinator for ASEAN-China Summit, he will try his best so that everybody will know that such reclamation activities require radical changes in the laws governing international waters, particularly the right of free passage or the right of innocent passage. The chief executive implied that China's 3-year bargain of negotiating for a COC might bring the friction among nations into something uncontrollable. That's why a set of rules must be hammered as soon as possible.
China is there. That's a reality. And America and everybody should realize that they are there. So if you just keep on creating friction, little friction, one day a bad miscalculation could turn things Murphy's Law. If anything can go wrong, it will go wrong.
By friction, President Duterte means holding military activities that would only trigger a much larger problem. He said it is pointless to use arms because China is already in possession of the disputed territory.
It's now in their hands. So why do you have to create frictions, strong military activity that will prompt a response from China?
The president added that it is not his concern anymore if nations want to wage war against one another. However, he wants to make clear his interest in pushing for an urgent code of conduct.
I do not mind everybody going to war, except that the Philippines is just beside those islands.
Thank you.
And if there's a shooting there, my country will be the first to suffer. That is my only national interest, nothing else.
Marge Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Singapore.
A maritime law expert questions China's move to agree to complete the negotiations for the Code of Conduct in the South China Sea within a 3-year time frame. Mai Bermudez tells us why.
For the first time after more than 2 decades, China has finally spoken of a clear time frame on negotiating for a final code of conduct in the hotly contested territories in the South China Sea. During the ASEAN-China summit in Singapore on Wednesday, Chinese Prime Minister Li Keqiang said that Beijing has agreed to complete the talks on the establishment of a code of conduct in 3 years. But the Filipino expert on maritime law questions China's move.
Malinaw na inaasahan talaga nila yung Duterte administration, no, dahil yun din yung termino ng Pilipinas as chair ng coordination sa ASEAN, at pasok na pasok din yon dun sa remaining term ni President Duterte. So clearly malaki yung inaasahan nila na makakamit nila yung objectives nila. 1 taon para tapusin yung mga artificial islands, 1 taon para i-build up yung mga facilities doon. Nangyari lahat ng major developments in the past 2 years nung term ni President Duterte, no? So kayang-kaya na nilang tapusin yon.
This is not the first time that the Association of Southeast Asian Nations tackled the creation of a code in the region. Last year, ASEAN and China also pushed for the creation and finalization of the COC text. A code of conduct is a clear and definite guideline of states like Philippines, Vietnam, China, and other claimant countries in the conduct of navigation within the disputed waters. Although China have agreed to participate in the finalization of COC talks, President Rodrigo Duterte underscored the importance of the immediate creation of the code amid brewing tensions between China and Western countries.
The fact that there's a friction between the Western nations and China. And I am worried, I expressed it last night, because we have a defense treaty, mutual defense with the US, and there's some serious miscalculation can, and because of the treaty, I'd like to tell China that is why at all costs we must have the COC.
The United States, for its part, says the aggression has no place in the Indo-Pacific region and rules-based order international law must prevail.
Like you, we seek an Indo-Pacific in which all nations, large and small, can prosper and thrive, secure in sovereignty, confident in our values, and growing stronger together. We all agree that empire and aggression have no place in the Indo-Pacific.
Some lawmakers, meanwhile, highlighted the importance of discussing the issue with neighboring countries, with Senator Francis Pangilinan saying that even small Filipino fishermen, Chinese and others, should have a say in forwarding a zone of peace and sustainability. But Supreme Court Justice Antonio Carpio, a known advocate and among those behind the country's triumph in the 2012 arbitral ruling of the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Seas, or UNCLOS, refrained from commenting on the issue.
Kasi nga napaka-friendly ng Philippines ngayon, siguro iniisip nila hindi sigurado kung ganun ka-friendly yung next administration, no?
Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
A political analyst tweets President Rodrigo Duterte's skipping of some ASEAN-related meetings in Singapore on Wednesday. Malacanang, however, just finds it amusing that some quarters are making a big fuss over Duterte's absence. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte was nowhere to be seen during the ASEAN-related summits of Australia and Korea, the working lunch of Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, and the Second Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin represented the president in all 4 meetings. Duterte, however, attended the ASEAN-China Summit as the new country coordinator for the ASEAN-China dialogue relations and witnessed the signing ceremony for the Memorandum of Understanding between the Eurasian Economic Commission and ASEAN. He also had a bilateral meeting with ASEAN host and Singapore Prime Minister Lee over some mutual cooperation beneficial to both countries' people. Malacanang said the president took a power nap as he only had less than 3 hours of sleep on Tuesday. For a political analyst, the president's absence in some meetings has an effect to the international relations of the Philippines. Political analyst Dean Maria Fe Mendoza said the Singapore ASEAN 2018 summit sessions are scheduled to suit the schedule of the heads of states. Duterte may have personal reasons to skip some, but this does not speak well of his solidarity with ASEAN. The president has assured he is in good shape following speculations that his non-attendance to several meetings was due to his health condition. Duterte also seemed displeased about others making a big fuss about his absence.
Still not good enough, but enough to sustain the endurance for the last days. What's wrong with my nap? I don't eat breakfast, and I'm sure you ladies do know that.
Malacanang also found it amusing that some quarters are making a big deal out of Duterte's absence, assuring that this has nothing to do with the president's health and well-being. Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue.
A much modern Laguna Lake Highway that connects the eastern portion of Metro Manila to some towns of Rizal officially opens to motorists today. Meanwhile, the Department of Public Works and Highways and Budget and Management clarified their move to hire several Chinese workers for the government's infrastructure projects. John Nano tells us why.
The Department of Public Works and Highways opened the modernized segment of Laguna Lake Highway ahead of its 2019 target. Formerly known as the C6 Road, the Laguna Lake Highway will help connect the eastern portions of Metro Manila to certain towns in Rizal. DPWH Secretary Mark Villar says the 6.94-kilometer four-lane road in Taguig has been opened to provide an alternative road for motorists traversing EDSA and C5 to Taytay Rizal. This is also envisioned to help address the projected traffic congestion in December due to the holiday rush. The toll-free road is expected to cut down travel time from Taguig to Taytay Rizal and vice versa from more than an hour to just 30 minutes.
We will continue to maintain. Pero ito matibay po, makapal po ang semento. Pang commercial talaga ito. Kung dati po itong alignment po ay graba, kaya hindi talaga pang commercial. Pero ngayon po napakakapal ng semento.
Secretary Villar says apart from wider lanes, the Laguna Lake Highway is also the first national road with dedicated lanes for bikes. The project cost 1.8 billion pesos and is part of the Duterte administration's Build program. Meanwhile, the DPWH and the Department of Budget and Management explained the allegedly growing number of Chinese workers being hired in the Philippines under the government's infrastructure programs. Officials clarified they only hire Chinese officials who have advanced technological knowledge to work on government projects.
Hindi lang po sa China, meron tayong JICA from Japan. And karamihan po ng mga projects natin are locally funded. So hindi naman po ganun kalaki yung percentage na nasa foreign.
The Department of Labor and Employment stated earlier they will investigate reports on the alleged illegal hiring of Chinese workers in the country. Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Taguig City.
Award-winning singer-songwriter Noel Cabangon is ready to share another meaningful song to the public through Wishcovery Season 2, The Singer and the Song. Leslie Longboan tells us why.
Folk singer-songwriter Noel Cabangon is popular for his songs that move hearts with striking messages.
Panahon ng pagkakataon, may babalik ba ang kahapon?
Now, Noel is in search for the perfect singer who will share his new meaningful composition in the second season of Wishcovery, The Singer and the Song.
I'm really more of delivering the message of a song na very sincere and interpretation na galing sa puso with passion and sincerity.
The award-winning singer-songwriter will be part of discovering the talent of young singing hopefuls in Visayas. Meanwhile, Noel lauds the concept of Wishcovery.
This is a very good project and also one way of promoting Filipino music Filipino talent, and syempre yung sa amin din, Filipino composers.
Wishers are sure to be excited to watch Wishcovery Season 2, and the thrill extends even to the participating composers, according to Noel.
Exciting eh. Exciting na, ano yung susulatin ko, o ano yung pakakanta ko, as sino kaya yung mananalo? Parang ganon. Exciting kung sino talaga yung napili din ng iba. Kasi syempre maglalaban-laban lahat yun.
Wishcovery Season 2, The Singer and the Song, will air this November on Wish 107.5 YouTube channel. Leslie Lomoan, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on One News. PNP warns of new modus operandi involving kidnap for ransom syndicates. France funds study on the proposed Metro Manila cable car system. And Wish 107.5 YouTube channel hits 4 million subscribers. Thank you for keeping me company in the first part of One News. More reasons behind the stories with Angelo, Castro III, and Thio after this quick break. I'm Rheena Villamor-Camara. Good evening.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up from where Rheena Villamor-Camara left off. I'm Angelo, Castro III. Here are the headlines. The Agriculture Department assures a portion of rice tariff revenues will be used on local farmers' welfare. A lawmaker pushes for reforms in the value-added tax system following the fuel tax hike suspension in 2019. And ambushed Balawan La Union local chief executives not in drug watch list, according to the Philippine National Police. The Department of Agriculture assures that a portion of the rice tariff revenues will be used for the welfare of local farmers. Victor Cosare tells us why.
Senate Bill number 1998, or the Rice Tarrification Bill, has passed the third and final reading. If enacted into law, it will allow private sectors to import more rice. A 35% tariff will be imposed on imported varieties coming from ASEAN member countries and 50% or higher for rice imported from countries outside ASEAN. Presidential spokesperson Salvador Panelo said that President Rodrigo Duterte wants to expedite the passage of the Rice Tarrification Bill to prevent shortage of rice supply and its consequent increase in prices. The bill is also seen to help eradicate corruption and cartels from the country's rice industry. On the other hand, a group of farmers oppose the bill's enactment as they believe it will flood the country with low-priced imported rice and put the local farmers at a disadvantage.
Lalong tatamaan ng mga magsasakang Pilipino. Kasi pagdagsa ng murang bigas dito, dahil ang ating napakataas ng gastusin sa produksyon, paano tayo makikipag-compete?
Jimmy Tadeo of Paragos, Pilipinas, blames rice shortage on land conversion and the high cost of farming rice. On the other hand, Rosendo So of Samahang Industriya ng Agrikultura supports the passage of the bill. What needs to be done, he said, is to ensure that part of the revenues from the tariff collection should go to local farmers.
Kasi kung hindi natin itarifa yung rice, no? Pa-question tayo ng WTO, ang mangyayari, may mag-import na zero tariff.
However, Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol argued that the proposed measure is actually beneficial to local farmers because it will provide them with the needed support to lower cost of production while increasing their yield. The proposed bill states that the government will allocate a 10 billion peso subsidy for local rice farmers.
Because now we could support our farmers with good seeds, with maybe subsidized fertilizers that would improve their productivity. And when their productivity is improved, they don't have to cry for a higher price for their palay anymore.
Victor Cosare, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
A lawmaker believes that the value-added tax system in the country should be reformed following the suspension of the second tranche of fuel excise tax in 2019. Let's find out why from Noel.
A senator is batting to reform the country's value-added tax system after the government suspended the collection of the next fuel excise tax scheduled in the first quarter of 2019. Senator Panfilo Lacson believes that the proposed reduction in the value-added tax rate from 12% to 10% will help the government attain its annual revenue targets. This is amid the projected hefty losses in revenues due to the fuel tax hike suspension.
Imagine, binaba mo na ng 10%, naka-generate ka pa ng 117 billion incremental revenue.
Lacson is eyeing to slash the number of sectors that are exempted from paying VAT, citing abuses such as in cooperatives, housing sectors, and companies in economic zone. The Department of Finance has expressed support for the said proposal during the passage of the first package of the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion Law. However, the agency is looking to prioritize the approval of its proposed tax reform packages.
Pero sa tingin po namin, yung mas balanse ay yung ang pinopose po namin, yung a series of packages that really benefit the people immediately.
Senator Lacson hopes that his proposal will gain enough support from his colleagues and hurdle congressional scrutiny. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The Philippine National Police closely monitors areas with intense political rivalry, especially in La Union, as the probe on the ambush of Balawan Town Mayor Aleli and her father, Vice Mayor Alfred Concepcion, continues. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
The Philippine National Police reveals that Vice Mayor Alfred Concepcion and his daughter Mayor Aleli Concepcion were not on the police drug watch list. The father and daughter tandem were ambushed in Balawan, La Union last Tuesday, November 14. According to PNP Director General Oscar Albayalde, there was no previous report of the two local executives' involvement in illegal drugs trade.
Wala naman so far. I just don't know in the region. Wala kasing sinabi sa atin if they're included in the regional watch list. No?
So far, there are no witnesses surfacing to testify on the case, while the PNP Region 1 Police are doing the investigation.
In any incident, the very important thing here is the witnesses who can give a full account or probably identify or probably give suspects dito sa or persons of interest dito sa mga incidents.
Albayalde notes that La Union is considered as among the election hotspots due to intense political rivalry. Based on PNP records in the third quarter of this year, intense political rivalries between 60 candidates in the 2019 midterm elections were reported in several areas, particularly in Region 1, Region 4A, Region 7, Region 10, Cordillera, and the Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Philippine National Police warns the public against a new scheme concocted by kidnap for ransom groups targeting anyone who owns a mobile phone. Let's find out the ways on how to avoid this kind of scheme in Monoxon's report.
Hello po, good day. Magre-request po sana kami na patayin po ninyo ang inyong cellphone sa loob ng 2 oras para maisagawa po namin ng update ng 4G network ng inyong telepono. Salamat po.
Have you ever received this kind of call or text message? You must not shrug off or believe this kind of message, as you might become the latest target of the kidnap for ransom syndicate behind this scheme. A post on social media warning others of this modus operandi recently went viral. The message, posted by a person who was not named for security reasons, detailed the experience on how he almost became a victim of the scheme, which allegedly starts with a message requesting the recipient to turn off their mobile phone for 2 hours to update its 4G signal. What you will see and hear in the next few seconds is a dramatization of the victim's recollection of events.
Nakatanggap ako ng tawag mula sa nagpakilalang mobile service provider. Pinakiusapan niya ako na patayin ang aking cellphone sa loob ng 2 oras upang makapag-update sila sa aking 4G network. Dahil nagmamadali ako papunta sa dingin, hindi na ako nagtanong at pinatay na madali ang aking cellphone. Matapos ng 45 minutes, nagduda dahil hindi man lang nagpakilala ang caller. Agad kong pinuksan ang cellphone ko at nakita ko na pumasok ang maraming text message mula sa aking pagkakyan at meron din mula sa isang hindi kilalang numero. Agad kong tinawagan ang aking mga magulang at nagulat na lubha sila nag-aalala at tinanong ako kung ligtas daw ba ako. Sinabi ng mga magulang ko na mayroon daw tumawag sa kanila at sinabing inupot ako at humihingi ng pera para ako ay pakawalan. Parang totoo yung tawag at narinig pa daw nila na umiiyak at humihingi ako ng tulong. Nasa bangko na ang aking tatay upang ihanda ang pera. Subalit sinabi ko sa kanila na ligtas ako at nasa mabuting kalagayan at agad i-report sa pulis ang nangyari. Maya-maya pa ay nakatanggap na naman ako ng tawad.
Hello po, magandang araw. Kung maaari po ay pakipatay po muli ang inyong cellphone sa loob ng 1 oras habang tinatapos po namin ang update ng inyong network.
Hindi ko papatayin ang phone ko, manloloko kayo. Panay ang tawag sa akin ng sindikato pag hindi ako matawagan ng aking mga kapamilya hanggang sumalobat na ang aking battery. Agad kong inireport sa mga pulis ang nangyari at sinabi sa akin na mag-ingat ako dahil ito ay modus ng isang sindikato.
The Philippine National Police says this is an elaborate scheme concocted by kidnap for ransom groups aimed at deceiving the victim and force their family to wire money to the said kidnappers. The modus and style of operation may change, but the motive of the syndicate, which is to deceive, remains the same. How can we avoid from falling prey to this kind of evil scheme? Police says everyone should inform members of their family the time they left and their destination whenever they go out or are on their way home. They should also leave an alternative contact number where you can be contacted by your family when your mobile phone is out of reach. They should also refrain from believing any calls from unknown contacts and immediately report to the police any suspicious events or messages. Aside from this modus, other kidnap for ransom and criminal acts occur during bare months, such as the ATM scam, Salisigang, Budol-Budol Gang, and Dugo-Dugo Gang.
Ngayong bear ay talagang yung mga kung saan nagpupunta yung mga tao, maraming tao ngayon siksikan, matraffic. So, kailangan konting ingat po sa ating mga kababayan. Maging aware sa mga nasa paligid nila at maging yung action nila ay dapat din na maging mapagmasid sila at yung security ng sarili nila napaka-importante rin.
Data from the PNP show that in 2013, 52 kidnapping cases were reported. However, the number gradually decreased in the following years with only 9 reported in 2017. The PNP advises the public to remain vigilant against robbers and suspicious people, especially during bare months when most workers receive holiday bonuses and cash gifts. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Philippine National Police Highway Patrol Group mounts a crackdown against motorists using commemorative and the protocol number 8 license plates. Leah Ilagan tells us why.
Police authorities begin flagging down motorists using special and protocol license plates following the order of the House of Representatives to its members to return the plates issued during the 16th Congress and earlier. The Philippine National Police Highway Patrol Group has ordered all its units to crack down on vehicles with number 8 license plates. Motorists found to be illegally using commemorative and protocol license plates will be issued a ticket and fined with 5,000 pesos. Their license plates will also be confiscated according to PNP HPG Director, Chief Superintendent Roberto Fajardo.
Ongoing na yung ating crackdown ngayon sa hindi lang sa hindi lang sa plaka number 8, pati other commemorative plates. Sa tulungan natin yung Congress kasi yung Congress pinaparicall na yung number 8, turn in doon, pinapasurrender. So mas mapapabilis. Tutulungan namin yung Congress. So actually nag-order na ako na massive crackdown dito sa mga number 8 plates and pati sa mga other commemorative plates.
Number 8 plates were issued by the Land Transportation Office in 2015, but the PNP says some motorists are abusing its use to breeze through heavy traffic and be exempted from coding.
Most of the time, that these plates are being abused. No? At I don't know kung bakit yung LTO are still issuing these plates doon sa mga iba. I do not know their policies actually.
PNP Chief Albayalde meanwhile reminds HPG personnel to be courteous at all times when flagging down vehicles, regardless of whether the motorist is a public official or not. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Philippines and the French government has begun the conduct of a feasibility study on the proposed cable car system for Metro Manila. Representatives from both governments kicked off their first technical meeting for the 27 million peso transport project on Wednesday at the regional office of the Department of Transportation in Clark, Pampanga. Based on initial discussions, the technical working group proposed the construction of the cable car system in Metro Manila. Transport Secretary Arthur Tugade, however, suggested that the cable car system be established in La Union, Baguio route or in Caticlan, Boracay route. Leading FM YouTube channel Wish 1075 reaches another milestone. Leslie Long Bowen tells us why.
Wish 1075 celebrates its growing community of wishers as its YouTube channel reached 4 million subscribers today. Wish YouTube channel is frequently visited by music lovers for its high-quality Wish-exclusive videos featuring OPM and foreign artists.
Miss you like crazy, even more than words can say.
Some of its Wish-exclusives land the YouTube Philippines Trends list, including the recently uploaded Kung Di Rin Lang Ikaw live performance. Wish 1075 is grateful for the overflowing support of wishers worldwide.
We are blessed in 4 years' time. Talagang parang lumalabas every year may 1 million no? As far as the subscribers are concerned.
It's just really overwhelming that the support of the wishers just keep on getting stronger and that, wishers keep on multiplying not just in the Philippines but in the rest of the world.
Thank you so much, wishers, for the love and support. But most especially, thank you to God for the 4 years, successful 4 years of Wish 1075 and to the amazing mind and concept of Kuya Daniel.
Wish 1075 remains the leading FM YouTube channel in the country with over 1 billion views. Its 4 million subscriber milestone coincides with the station's 4th anniversary this year. Leslie Longboban, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on Y News. British Prime Minister Theresa May suffers severe blow over Brexit as ministers quit. U.S. Defense Chief Jim Mattis defends border deployment as Central American migrants arrive at the U.S. doorstep. And the sculptor uses old cardboards to create works of art. And those are the reasons behind the stories in the second part of our newscast. Y News returns with William Thio. I'm Angelo, Castro III. Good evening.